Maren wasn't supposed to collapse on the marble floor of a billionaire's office. Not after working 3 jobs, not after holding her life together with stubbornness and duct tape, and definitely not in front of the one man who could shatter everything she thought she knew about love. But fate didn't ask her permission. One moment she was delivering late-night documents, dizzy from exhaustion. The next, Adrian Hale, the most untouchable man in the city, was lifting her into his arms like she weighed nothing, his voice shaking with a concern no stranger should have. She thought he'd fire her. He offered her a job instead. One that came with a salary she'd never dared imagine, a home she never thought she'd deserve, and a kind of love she'd stopped believing existed. But Ella didn't know that stepping into Adrian's world meant stepping into danger, the kind with enemies who watched from the shadows, who knew her name before she spoke it, and who were willing to destroy them both. She worked 3 jobs to survive. He offered one job that changed everything. And together, they would face a storm big enough to break them, or bind them forever. Before we dive into the details of this story, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more thrilling stories. Maren had long ago stopped believing in miracles. At 26, her days blurred into a cycle of exhaustion. The dawn shift at the diner, an afternoon cleaning offices, and nights spent stocking shelves at the corner market. She wore her tiredness like a second skin. Still, she smiled, because her younger brother Liam depended on her, and because giving up simply wasn't an option. Every morning before she left for her first job, she'd kiss Liam's forehead, whispering a promise she wasn't sure she could keep. "I'll make things better." Somehow, the world had taken their parents too soon, and she had stepped into shoes far too big for her. But love makes giants of even the smallest souls. One Tuesday morning changed everything. A man walked into the diner, a stranger in a slate-gray suit, crisp as winter air, yet with eyes warm enough to melt the coldest day. He slid into Ella's section without hesitation, watching her with quiet curiosity as she poured his coffee. "Long morning?" he asked as if he already knew. She blinked in surprise. "Long year," she corrected gently. He smiled, not with pity but with understanding. "I'm Adrian Hale." She froze mid-pour. The name echoed faintly in her memory. Hale Industries. Hale Foundation. Hale, the billionaire whose face was always flashing on business channels in the corner of the store she stocked at night. Surely not. But the man sitting before her spoke with a softness that no headline ever had. Over the next few weeks, Adrian returned, every morning, always requesting her station, always patient, always kind. He noticed things, the tired tremor in her hands, the way she checked her phone constantly for messages from Liam, how she cheered up elderly customers even when her own spirit was running on fumes. One morning, as the diner quieted and the sun slipped through the blinds like liquid gold, he finally said the words that changed everything. "Ella, I'd like to offer you a job." She laughed, right until she realized he was serious. "Adrian, I'm flattered, but I can't leave my jobs. I need all 3 just to keep the lights on." He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a tender earnestness. "This job will pay more than all 3 combined. And it comes with flexibility. You'd have time to rest, time to live." Her breath caught. "Why me?" He hesitated, just long enough for her heart to thud in her chest. "Because I see the way you carry the world," he whispered. "And I want to help you put it down." Ella felt something warm bloom in her chest, something she hadn't felt in years. She accepted the offer, hesitantly, fearfully, but with a courage born from desperation and budding trust. Her new job? Personal assistant, not to the billionaire, but to his sister, a children's therapist recovering from a serious accident. It was meaningful work, gentle work, and for the first time in so long, Ella felt appreciated. And Adrian was always there, smiling, encouraging, protecting, and falling, slowly, silently, undeniably, in love with her. Ella felt it too, though she tried to push it away. Men like him didn't love women like her. Men like him lived in penthouses, women like her lived paycheck to paycheck. Their worlds weren't just far apart, they were galaxies. But one night, after a charity gala she helped organize, they found themselves alone on the balcony. City lights twinkled below like scattered stars. "Ella," Adrian whispered, stepping closer. I know you think we're too different, but I can't pretend anymore. Her phone buzzed sharply in her bag. She almost ignored it until she saw the caller ID. Liam's school. Her heart plummeted. She answered, and her world shifted beneath her feet. Miss Maren, the voice trembled on the other end. It's Liam. There's been an accident. You need to come. Now. The phone slipped from her hand. Adrian caught her as she swayed, fear surging through him. Ella, what happened? She looked up at him, tears welling, voice breaking. Adrian, I think I'm about to lose everything. He cupped her face gently, desperation in his eyes. Ella, listen to me, whatever happens, you won't face it alone. But before she could respond, another call came through, this one from an unknown number, flashing urgently. And when Ella answered it, her face drained of all color. Miss Maren, a deep voice said, we need to speak about your brother. And about Adrian Hale. Ella's breath shattered. What about him? She whispered. There was a pause, long, heavy, ominous. Because he's the reason your brother is in the hospital. Her world went silent, and Adrian's eyes went wide with horror. Ella's knees buckled. Adrian caught her, holding her tight, but his own body was tense, rigid with shock. What do you mean? She whispered, voice barely audible, trembling. The man on the phone's voice was cold, measured. I'll explain in person, but you need to come alone. Your brother's life depends on it. Before she could respond, the line went dead. Ella stared at her phone, her hand shaking. Adrian's grip on her tightened. We need to go, now, he said firmly, his eyes darkening. No more waiting. Ella shook her head. I can't just leave him, Adrian. I know, he interrupted softly. That's why I'm coming with you. We'll handle this together. I promise. For the first time in her life, she didn't have to pretend to be strong. She let him lead her into his car, the city lights blurring past. Her mind raced. Who could have done this? And why did the voice sound so familiar? By the time they arrived at the hospital, the emergency room was chaos. Doctors and nurses moved quickly, but one of them pulled Ella aside. Is your brother Liam Maren? The nurse asked. Ella nodded, gripping Adrian's hand. He's stable for now, the nurse said carefully, but it appears this wasn't an accident. Someone deliberately caused the car crash. Ella's stomach sank. What? Why? The nurse shook her head. We don't know yet, but the police are involved. You need to stay calm for him. Adrian squeezed her hand. We'll find out who did this. And we'll make sure they pay. But then, as if the universe wanted to push her over the edge, her phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. With trembling fingers, she answered. Miss Maren, the voice said, the same deep, chilling tone. You're clever. I'll give you that. But you don't understand. Adrian Hale is not who he seems. And if you care about your brother, you'll stay away from him. Permanently. Ella's eyes widened, and she felt her chest tighten. She looked at Adrian, and for the first time, she saw the shadow in his usually confident eyes. What does that mean? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. He stepped back, his face pale. I wanted to tell you the truth when the time was right. But it seems the time is now. Ella swallowed hard. Her heart pounded. Adrian, what are you hiding? Before he could answer, the lights in the hospital flickered. The door to the ER burst open. Two men in dark suits rushed in, their faces unreadable, but their eyes locked on Adrian. Mr. Hale, one of them said coldly, you need to come with us. Now. Ella's hand flew to her mouth. What's happening? Adrian shook his head, torn between leaving and staying with her. I swear, I will explain everything. But right now, I have to do this. He turned to the men. Give me 1 minute. Just one. The men didn't move. Time seemed to freeze. Ella reached for him, her hands gripping his arms. Don't leave me, she whispered, tears streaming. I can't, he said, voice breaking. But I'll be back. I promise. Before she could stop him, the men pulled him away. Ella ran after him, but they disappeared down the corridor. The hospital doors slammed shut behind them. Ella sank to the floor, clutching her phone, her heart shattering into 1,000 pieces. Liam's life hung in the balance, and the man she was starting to love was suddenly gone. And then her phone rang again. This time, an anonymous text appeared. "If you want to save your brother, trust no one. Not even him." Ella froze, staring at the glowing screen. The world she had begun to dream in was unraveling faster than she could breathe. Somewhere in the darkness, Adrian's words echoed in her mind. "Whatever happens, you won't face it alone." But now she wasn't so sure. Ella's hands trembled as she dropped the phone onto the hospital bed. The anonymous message haunted her like a shadow she couldn't shake. Trust no one. Not even him. Her mind spun. How could the man who offered her a chance at a better life also be the reason her brother was in danger? But she couldn't think about that now. Liam needed her. She swallowed her fear and turned to the nurse. "Where is he? Can I see him?" she asked, her voice shaking. "He's in surgery," the nurse said gently. "The doctors are doing everything they can. You should prepare yourself." Ella's chest tightened. She closed her eyes and whispered a prayer, one she hadn't spoken in years. "Please, don't let anything happen to him." Then a sharp knock at the hospital door startled her. 2 men in dark suits stepped in, different from the ones who took Adrian. Their expressions were grim. "Miss Maren," one said, "we're with the Hale Security Division. We need to talk." Ella's stomach sank. "Hale? Security? You mean Adrian?" "Yes," the other said. "He's in danger, and so are you. You don't know the full story yet, but we need to move quickly." "Move where?" she asked, fear and confusion warring inside her. "Somewhere safe," the man replied. "You've already been targeted. Whoever orchestrated your brother's accident knows about you. We can explain everything on the way, but we don't have time to waste." Ella hesitated, torn between staying at Liam's side and following strangers. But the moment she thought about losing him, her resolve hardened. "Let's go." They led her to a sleek, black SUV waiting outside. As the vehicle sped through the city streets, one of the men finally spoke. "Adrian Hale is not just a billionaire," he began. "He's part of a covert program designed to protect high-profile individuals from dangerous enemies. He's been trying to shield you and your brother from a secret war, and now it's come to your doorstep." Ella's eyes widened. "A secret war?" "Yes," the man said. "Your brother was never the target, Adrian was. And the people who attacked him, they'll do anything to reach him. That's why he couldn't warn you fully." Ella clenched her fists. "Then, why didn't he tell me?" "Because he couldn't," the man said. "If you knew too soon, they could have used you as leverage. He wanted to protect you while keeping you out of danger. He cares for you more than he's ever let you realize." Tears blurred Ella's vision. She realized now that all the kindness, all the quiet attentions, Adrian's love had always been there. But love alone wasn't enough to keep them safe. The SUV pulled into an underground garage. Security guards met them, leading Ella to a secure room. There, a laptop waited, and a single video began to play. Adrian appeared on the screen, looking tense, a hand over his heart. "Ella," he said softly, "I don't have much time. I want you to know the truth, and I need you to trust me. Liam's accident wasn't random. Someone from my past, someone I once trusted, is using me to hurt you both. I promise. I will do everything in my power to stop them, but I need you to stay safe. I need you to wait for me. Please, don't try to find me. Not yet." The video ended abruptly, leaving Ella in stunned silence. She clutched the edge of the table. Her heart ached to see him, to hold him, but fear and confusion had her rooted to the floor. Then, her phone buzzed again, another message. "If you want to save your brother, meet me at the docks. Alone. Come or he dies." Ella's blood ran cold. She knew it was a trap, but she also knew she couldn't ignore it. Liam's life hung in the balance, and every second mattered. Her fingers tightened around the phone. She whispered a single word to herself. "Adrian." Somewhere out there, he was trying to protect them. But the question burned in her mind like fire. Could she save her brother without falling into the trap, and without losing the man she was starting to love? The SUV doors closed behind her, and Ella knew that whatever happened next, nothing would ever be the same. Ella's hands trembled as she gripped the steering wheel of the SUV that had been discreetly parked nearby. The docks were shrouded in darkness, mist curling over the water like ghostly fingers. Every instinct screamed at her, "This is a trap." But the voice of the stranger on the phone had been clear. Liam's life was at stake. She swallowed hard and took a deep breath. "I can do this," she whispered to herself, the echo of Adrian's words still ringing in her ears. "Don't try to find me." Not yet. The SUV pulled up just a block from the docks. Ella stepped out, her boots crunching softly on the gravel. The sound of waves lapping against the wooden piers filled the air. She saw no one. The mist swallowed the night, leaving only shadows. Her phone vibrated again. "Walk to the end of Pier 7. Alone. Don't call anyone. Your brother is counting on you." Ella's stomach churned, but she walked. Step by step, each one heavier than the last, until she reached the edge of the pier. And then she saw him. A figure standing under the faint glow of a single lamppost. Her heart pounded, hope and fear twisting inside her. "Liam," she called, but the figure didn't move. Instead, a deep voice echoed across the water. "Miss Maren. Welcome." Her blood ran cold. It wasn't Liam. A tall man stepped forward from the shadows, his face partially obscured, but she could feel the danger radiating from him. Where is he?" she demanded. The man smiled coldly. "If you want to see your brother alive, you'll do exactly as I say. No tricks. One wrong move." His gaze was sharp, merciless. "And he dies." Ella's hands shook, but she squared her shoulders. "What do you want from me?" "Adrian Hale," the man said, and Ella felt a jolt of shock run through her. "You trust him, don't you?" Ella's chest tightened. "Of course I do. He would never." "He lied," the man interrupted, his voice like steel. "He's not the man you think he is. And until I have what I need, your brother's life, and yours, are mine to control." Ella felt panic rise, but she forced herself to stay calm. "What do you want?" The man paused, then reached into his coat, pulling out a small flash drive. "This contains sensitive information. Adrian has been hiding it from everyone, including you. Hand it over and your brother walks away. Refuse," he let the threat hang in the air. "And you'll witness exactly what happens when you defy me." Ella's mind raced. Adrian had warned her about people from his past. Could she risk trusting him? Could she risk acting alone? Her eyes darted to the water, to the shadows, to the end of the pier. Any escape? And then, a whisper carried through the mist. "Ella!" Her heart leapt. She turned sharply and there he was. Adrian. Silent, tense, eyes blazing with a mixture of fear and determination. "You shouldn't be here," he said, his voice low, yet fierce. "I couldn't wait," she snapped back, tears blurring her vision. "It's Liam. I can't just." The man in the shadows laughed, a sound like ice cracking. "Ah, so he's come. Perfect. 2 for the price of 1. Now, Miss Maren, choose wisely." Adrian's hand went to hers. "Step back. I'll handle this. Stay close, but don't move." Ella shook her head. "No, I'm not leaving my brother. I'm not leaving you. We're in this together." The man's eyes flicked to Adrian, then back to Ella. Bold, but foolish. He lunged suddenly, the shadow of movement fast and deadly. Adrian reacted instantly, pulling Ella behind him, the flash of a gun in the man's hand glinting briefly under the lamp. Water splashed nearby as the struggle escalated. And then, a second figure emerged from the fog. Another shadow. Another threat, or perhaps a savior. Ella's heart stopped. Who was it? Friend? Foe? And before she could even think to react, the pier gave a sudden, terrifying groan under their feet. The wooden planks cracked. Ella screamed as the ground beneath them began to collapse, sending water surging closer and closer. Adrian grabbed her hand, pulling her back, but the unknown figure lunged between them, and the flash of movement knocked Adrian off balance. Ella's scream echoed across the docks as the pier splintered beneath them. And then darkness. The sound of splintering wood and crashing water filled Ella's ears as she tumbled into the icy darkness. The mist swallowed everything, and for a moment, fear froze her completely. Cold water hit her like a wall, dragging her under, forcing her lungs to burn. But Adrian's hand found hers instantly, gripping her like a lifeline. "Ella, hold on," he shouted. His voice, strong and real, cut through the chaos. Ella kicked, struggling to stay afloat, and Adrian pulled with all his strength, dragging her toward a small beam of wood floating nearby. They clung to it, gasping, shivering, hearts pounding. The mysterious man, the one who had threatened Liam, was nowhere to be seen. A shadow slipped into the fog and disappeared. Ella's teeth chattered, and she wrapped her arms around herself. He's going to kill Liam," she cried, fear and desperation breaking through. Adrian's jaw tightened. "No, not if I can stop him. I promise you that, Ella. We're going to fix this. Together." Ella looked at him, water dripping from her hair, and realized something profound. No matter the secrets, the danger, or the lies, she believed him. She had to. But before either of them could make a move, a muffled shout came from the docks above. A police siren wailed faintly in the distance. The man had made a critical mistake. He had underestimated them. Adrian's eyes narrowed. "I know where he is. He took your brother to an abandoned warehouse near the old rail yard. We have to move, now." Ella shivered, but determination overpowered her fear. "Let's go. Liam can't wait." By the time they reached the warehouse, night had deepened. Shadows stretched across the cracked windows, and a faint, eerie light flickered inside. Adrian held her close. "This is going to be dangerous," he whispered. "But we'll get him. I won't let anything happen to your brother." Ella nodded, gripping his arm. "And I won't leave your side." Inside, the warehouse smelled of dust and rust. A single beam of light revealed Liam, tied to a chair, bruised but conscious. His eyes lit up when he saw Ella. "Ella, you're here." Tears welled in her eyes as she ran to him, cutting the ropes with trembling hands. "I'm here, Liam. I've got you." But the relief was short-lived. From the shadows, the same voice that had threatened them echoed coldly. "So touching. But you still don't understand the rules of this game." A figure stepped forward. It was familiar, too familiar. Ella froze. Her mind raced. And then she saw the face she had unknowingly trusted for months. "It was you," she whispered, disbelief and horror warring in her chest. The man smirked. "Yes, Ella. Adrian was the easy part. The real challenge was getting to you." Adrian stepped forward, placing himself between Ella and the man. "Stay away from them," he said, voice low and dangerous. "If you hurt them, I swear." The figure laughed. "Hurt them? Oh, Mr. Hale, this is just the beginning." Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the back of the warehouse. Shadows moved, and a second threat appeared, a man with a gun, trained on Adrian. Ella's heart raced. She clutched Liam close. "Adrian, what do we do?" He looked at her, eyes blazing with determination and something deeper, love, fierce and unshakable. "We survive," he said simply. "Together." But just as they prepared to act, the warehouse lights flickered and went out completely. In the darkness, a single chilling voice whispered, "One wrong move and everyone dies." Ella's heart skipped a beat. And in that instant, she realized their fight was far from over. The darkness of the warehouse pressed in around them like a living thing. Ella's heart pounded in her chest as she held Liam tightly, feeling his small, frightened shivers through her arms. Adrian's hand never left hers, a lifeline in the chaos. From the shadows, the mastermind stepped closer, the faint glint of a gun visible in the dim light. His face was familiar, once a trusted business partner of Adrian's, someone who had coveted power, wealth, and revenge for a betrayal that Adrian had barely survived years ago. "You see," the man said, voice silky and cold, "everything Adrian built, everything he protected, it was all mine for the taking. And you, Ella, were the perfect lever." Ella's blood ran cold. She looked at Adrian. "All this, for me? For Liam?" Adrian's jaw tightened. "Not for you, Ella. For them, my family, yours." the people I've sworn to protect. I would never let anyone hurt them. That's why I kept the truth from you, why I had to be careful. Ella's heart ached. You lied to me? I hid the danger, not my love, he whispered, brushing wet strands of hair from her face. I loved you from the moment I saw your strength, Ella. And I've been trying to protect you, even from me. The mastermind raised his gun. Enough talk. Let's end this, now. Adrian stepped forward, shielding Ella and Liam. No. You're done. In a blur of motion, the fight began. Adrian moved with precision, disarming the first attacker while Ella pulled Liam behind cover. Her heart raced, but fear gave way to determination. She couldn't let Liam be taken again. She couldn't lose Adrian, not now, when everything they had fought for hung in the balance. Suddenly, the lights flickered back on. The police had arrived, alerted by Hale's security earlier. The mastermind cursed under his breath, realizing he was outnumbered. You'll regret this, Hale, he spat, struggling to escape. Adrian's eyes softened for just a moment as he looked at Ella and Liam. Go. Stay with them. Now. Ella hesitated. I'm not leaving you. He grabbed her hand, squeezing it firmly. This is the only way. Trust me. Reluctantly, Ella moved with Liam toward the exit, tears streaming down her face as gunshots and shouts echoed behind them. She watched Adrian confront the mastermind, the fear in her chest twisting into helplessness. When they reached the street outside, Ella sank to her knees with Liam in her arms, shivering, heart-hammering. The sirens and flashing lights bathed them in red and blue. Minutes stretched like hours. And then, emerging from the warehouse doorway, Adrian appeared, bloodied, bruised, but alive. His eyes found Ella, and for the first time, there were no secrets between them. He collapsed into her arms. I told you. I would protect you, he whispered. Ella hugged him tightly, trembling with relief. I know. I trust you. Always. Behind them, the police arrested the mastermind and his accomplices. But as the dust settled, a single envelope slid out from the warehouse doorway, addressed in familiar handwriting. This isn't over, Hale. And it's only beginning. Watch your back. Ella and Adrian looked at each other, their hands intertwined, hearts beating in sync. Liam nestled between them, exhausted but safe. Adrian kissed Ella's forehead softly. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Ella nodded, gripping his hand. Together. But deep down, she felt the shadow of the next storm looming. A secret threat she couldn't yet see, a danger that had survived the night, waiting. And just as the three of them walked toward the car, the wind carried a whisper from the darkness. Hale, you've only won the battle, not the war. The city lights flickered behind them as Adrian, Ella, and Liam drove away from the docks. For the first time in weeks, Ella allowed herself to breathe, but the envelope, the whispered threat, loomed over them like a shadow she couldn't escape. Adrian broke the silence, his hand resting lightly on hers. There's something I haven't told you. Not everything about the mastermind, or the organization behind him. They're not just criminals. They're a network. And they've been watching me for years. Ella's eyes widened. Watching you, because of me? He shook his head. No, because of my work, my family, but now, yes, they know you're the person I love. And they'll use anything to get to me, anything, including you and Liam. Ella gripped his hand tighter. Then we face it. Together. You said it yourself. Adrian's lips curved into a tired but genuine smile. Together. For the next few days, Ella settled into a new rhythm. She was no longer juggling 3 jobs, thanks to Adrian's offer, but the danger reminded her that life would never be simple. She spent her days helping Liam recover, training with Adrian in basic self-defense, and learning more about the organization that had threatened them. Each lesson built her confidence, and the bond between her and Adrian grew stronger. One evening, as they sat on the balcony of Adrian's penthouse, watching the city lights sparkle like fireflies, Adrian spoke softly. I know you've been through so much, and I can't promise a normal life, not with them still out there. But I can promise this, no matter what comes next, I won't let anything happen to you or Liam. I'll fight and I'll love you through it all. Tears filled Ella's eyes. Adrian, I've spent my whole life protecting Liam and barely surviving myself. I never thought I'd find someone who'd fight for me too. Who'd love me. He leaned in, brushing her hair behind her ear. I do. And I always will. For a moment, the world felt right. But the peace was fragile. A message flashed on Adrian's secure phone, a signal he had been waiting for. His expression hardened as he read it. Ella, he said quietly, voice tense. They've made their move. It's time. Ella's hand found his again. Then we go. Together. Adrian nodded, determination and love shining in his eyes. Together. Outside, the city lights glittered innocently, unaware of the storm brewing in the shadows. And somewhere, hidden in the night, the mastermind's network began their next plan. Closer than they realized, smarter than before, and more dangerous than anything Ella and Adrian had faced. The story was far from over. And as Ella held Adrian's hand and looked at Liam sleeping peacefully, she whispered to herself, "No matter what comes, we survive. Together." The following week passed in a blur of tension and preparation. Ella had barely slept, her mind consumed with thoughts of Liam, Adrian, and the hidden threat looming over them. The city seemed different now. Each shadow could hide danger, each stranger could be a spy. Yet, in the midst of fear, Ella discovered something unexpected, a quiet strength inside her that had been waiting for years to awaken. Adrian worked tirelessly, coordinating with Hale security to track the mastermind's network. Despite the danger, he made time to teach Ella how to stay alert, to read people, and even how to handle herself in emergencies. Each day, Ella's confidence grew. She was no longer just the woman struggling to survive. She was someone who could fight, protect, and make choices that mattered. Late one night, Adrian returned from a meeting, bruised and weary. Ella was waiting in the penthouse, Liam asleep in the next room. "You're pushing too hard," she said softly. "You don't have to carry everything alone." He sank into the chair, rubbing his eyes. "I can't let anything happen to you or Liam. Not now. Not ever." Ella knelt beside him, taking his hand. "Then let me help. We're in this together, remember?" He looked at her, a mix of exhaustion and admiration in his eyes. "Together." Suddenly, Adrian's phone buzzed. He read the message and his face went pale. "They've moved," he whispered. "The mastermind's network is closer than we thought. They know our location." Ella's heart clenched. "Then we don't wait. We stop them before they hurt anyone else." Adrian nodded. "Exactly. Tonight, we strike. But it will be dangerous." Ella took a deep breath, feeling a mix of fear and determination. "Danger is nothing new. I've survived worse. And I'll survive this, if I'm with you." The night was thick with tension as they drove to an abandoned industrial complex on the outskirts of the city, where Hale security had traced suspicious activity. The air smelled of rust and smoke. Shadows stretched across the cracked walls, and every creak made Ella flinch. Inside, they found a room filled with computers, maps, and files, evidence of the mastermind's sprawling network. Adrian and his team quickly got to work, tracking movements and decoding messages. Ella watched, fascinated and terrified, her hands gripping her jacket. Then a faint noise caught her attention, a soft click behind a door. She froze, signaling Adrian. He motioned for her to stay quiet. The door creaked open, and a familiar voice called out. "Looking for me?" Ella's blood ran cold. The mastermind had been inside the building all along, watching. And now, he had them exactly where he wanted. Adrian stepped in front of her, fists clenched. "This ends tonight," he growled. The mastermind smiled, his face illuminated by the dim light. "Oh, Mr. Hale, it's only beginning." Before anyone could react, the lights went out completely. Panic surged. Shadows moved with terrifying speed. A struggle broke out, shouts echoing through the empty halls. Ella's heart pounded. She felt a hand grab hers, Adrian's. "Stay close," he whispered. "No matter what happens, we survive. Together." And as the building filled with chaos, Ella realized something vital. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was fighting. And she wasn't alone. But somewhere in the dark, the mastermind's voice echoed once more. You think you've won, Hale, but this city belongs to me. And soon, everything you love will be mine to destroy. Ella tightened her grip on Adrian's hand. Liam's safety, her love, and their future, all of it rested on what they did next. And in that moment, the real battle began. The warehouse plunged into darkness, the air vibrating with the sounds of struggle, boots scraping on concrete, fists striking, shouted commands drowned beneath the chaos. Ella clung to Adrian's hand as if it were the only solid thing in a world made of shadows. "Stay behind me," Adrian whispered, his voice barely audible. "No matter what happens." Ella nodded, but fear pressed against her lungs. She could hear Hale security agents fighting in the dark, but the mastermind's voice rose above the noise, calm, controlled, terrifying. "You brought her here, Adrian," he taunted. "You endangered the very person you claimed to protect. What would your family think of that? What would she think?" Adrian stiffened. Ella felt the change in him, anger, guilt, determination fighting inside him all at once. "She thinks," Ella shouted back, surprising even herself, "that he's risking everything to protect us. And that you're a coward hiding in the dark." Silence. A cold, deadly silence. Then a low chuckle. "Oh, Ella," the mastermind purred. "You really are braver than he deserves." Suddenly, a bright light snapped on overhead, blinding Ella. She shielded her eyes, blinking as the room came into sharp focus. There, across the warehouse floor, stood the mastermind, tall, dressed in black, a gun resting casually in his hand. His smile was chilling. Adrian pulled Ella behind him. Hale security agents formed a protective circle around them, but the mastermind raised his free hand. He warned. "Not yet. Let's finish our conversation." Ella's pulse hammered in her ears. "You know," he continued, pacing slowly, "Adrian has lied to you far more than he's told you the truth. About who he works with. About what he's done. About why your brother was targeted. You think it was an accident? You think it was random?" Ella swallowed hard. "Adrian told me you were after him, not Liam." The mastermind laughed. "True. But what Adrian didn't tell you is that your brother was targeted because of something you did." Ella froze. "Me? I've never—" "Yes, you have," the mastermind interrupted, eyes gleaming. "You crossed paths with one of my men. You saw something you shouldn't have. You just never realized how important it was." Ella's heart dropped into her stomach. A memory flashed. Months ago, on a late-night shift cleaning offices, she'd stumbled into the wrong room. Men talking. Boxes she didn't recognize. A tattoo on one man's wrist shaped like a serpent. She'd brushed it off as nothing. But it wasn't nothing. And the mastermind knew it. Ella's knees weakened. "Oh my gosh," she whispered. I didn't know." Adrian stepped forward, fury tightening his jaw. "You stay away from her. She didn't ask for any of this." "But she caused it," the mastermind said simply. "And now she'll end it." Before anyone could react, he fired. The shot echoed like thunder. Ella screamed as Adrian threw himself in front of her. His body jerked from the impact, and he collapsed to his knees, blood blooming across his shirt. "Adrian!" Ella cried, catching him as he fell. "No, no, please, stay with me." His hand reached for hers, trembling. Let him win." Hale security agents swarmed forward, tackling the mastermind as more shots rang out. Ella's world shrank to the man bleeding in her arms. Tears blurred her vision as she pressed her hands desperately to his wound. "Stay with me," she sobbed. "Adrian, stay. I need you. Liam needs you. Don't you dare let go." His eyes fluttered, pain twisting his features, but he managed a faint smile. "I love you." Her breath broke. "I love you too. Don't you leave me. Not now. Not ever." Chaos erupted around them, agents wrestling the mastermind to the ground, shouts echoing through the warehouse, sirens approaching outside. But Ella only felt Adrian's hand growing colder in hers. And then, his eyes slipped closed. "Adrian," she whispered. No response. Her heart cracked. "Adrian." The world spun, The lights flickered, and everything collapsed into soundless terror as she held him, praying he wasn't slipping away. But as the mastermind was dragged past her, he leaned close enough for her to hear his last whispered threat. "This war isn't over, Maren. It's only just begun." The world became a blur of movement, voices shouting, boots pounding, sirens wailing. But Ella heard none of it. All she could hear was the slowing, fragile breath of the man she loved. "Please," she whispered, her tears dripping onto his face. "Don't leave me. Please don't leave me." Paramedics rushed in, pulling her gently away even as she fought to stay at his side. "Ma'am, we need space. Let us help him." "He's bleeding out," another said. "We need to move, now." They lifted him onto a stretcher, oxygen mask held to his face. His head lolled to the side, eyes still closed. Ella stumbled after them. Every step felt like her body was made of shattered glass. When the paramedic tried to stop her at the ambulance door, she shoved past him. "I'm not leaving him." He hesitated, then nodded. "Get in. Hold on to him. Talk to him. It helps." Ella climbed inside, gripping Adrian's cold hand with both of hers. "Adrian, listen to me," she whispered urgently as the ambulance sped through the city. "I don't care about your past. I don't care what you didn't tell me. All I care about is you. And the way you protected me. Protected Liam. Protected everyone. Please, don't go. You promised we'd face this together." For a moment, just a flicker, his fingers twitched around hers. Ella gasped. "Adrian? Adrian, stay with me." But he didn't move again. Fluorescent lights. Running footsteps. The squeak of gurney wheels. They crashed through the doors, and Ella ran beside the stretcher until a doctor intercepted her. "You can't go with him," the doctor said firmly. "He's critical. We'll update you as soon as we can." No, you don't understand," Ella begged, trying to push past. "He'll wake up if I'm there. He needs me." But the doctor shook his head. "We need to stop the bleeding first. We'll do everything we can." The doors closed between them. Ella was left alone. She collapsed into a plastic chair, her hands shaking so violently she could barely wipe her tears. She wanted to scream, to run, to fight someone, anyone. But she had nothing left. Ella. Her head jerked up. That voice. She would know it anywhere. Standing there in the waiting room, hair still messy from sleep, holding his worn stuffed dinosaur to his chest, was Liam. Her brother had been brought in by a Hale security agent. His big brown eyes were wide with worry. "Sis, where's Adrian? Why are you crying?" Ella rushed forward, dropping to her knees and pulling Liam into her arms so tightly he squeaked. "Oh, baby," she whispered, burying her face in his hair. Adrian got hurt. But he's fighting. He's fighting so hard." Liam's voice was small. "He has to be okay. He promised he'd take us to the aquarium. He promised he'd teach me how to drive a really fancy car one day." Ella let out a tearful laugh sob. He promised. And Adrian keeps his promises." She hoped. She prayed. She clung to Liam like he was the last piece of her heart not shattered. Hours passed. The longest of her life. Finally, the surgeon walked into the waiting room. Ella shot to her feet. "How is he? Please tell me he's okay." The surgeon's expression was unreadable. "He made it through surgery," the doctor began. Ella gasped, grabbing Liam's hand. Relief flooded her. "But," the doctor continued, "he lost a dangerous amount of blood. He's stable for now, but he hasn't woken up. He's in a medically induced coma while we monitor brain activity and prevent further complications." Ella's knees almost buckled. "The coma." The words sliced through her like a blade. "Can I see him?" she whispered. The doctor hesitated. "Family only." Ella lifted her chin, voice trembling but strong. "I love him. And he loves me. That makes us family." The doctor studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "This way." Machines beeped softly. Tubes ran from his arms. His face was pale, too still, too quiet. Ella approached slowly, Liam beside her, both of them holding hands like they were approaching something sacred. She touched Adrian's hand gently. Hey, she whispered, tears sliding down her cheeks. We're right here. I'm not going anywhere. So you don't get to leave either. Not now. Not like this. Liam placed his stuffed dinosaur on Adrian's chest. He can borrow my dino until he wakes up, Liam said seriously. He scares away bad dreams. Ella's heart cracked even more. She sank into the chair beside the bed, resting her head on Adrian's arm. Come back to us, she whispered. Please, come back. But he didn't move. Not a twitch. Not a breath different than the machine measured. Just silence. The door suddenly swung open. Ella jerked upright. A nurse? A doctor? A man in a dark suit stepped inside. Someone she'd never seen before. His expression was steely, his eyes cold as they swept over Adrian, then locked onto Ella. Miss Maren, he said, his voice deep and chilling. We need to talk. Immediately. Ella's stomach dropped. Who are you? She demanded. The man paused, jaw tightening. I'm Adrian Hale's brother. And the look in his eyes said one thing clearly. He wasn't here for comfort. He was here with news. And possibly war. Ella froze. Adrian's brother stood in the doorway, broad-shouldered, impeccably dressed, eyes sharp enough to cut through steel. There was no warmth in him. No grief. Just calculation. Liam edged closer to Ella, gripping her hand tightly. The man stepped forward, closing the door behind him with a soft but ominous click. I'm Marcus Hale, he said. Adrian's older brother. Ella stood, keeping herself between Marcus and Adrian's hospital bed. Why are you here? She asked, her voice low but steady. Marcus's eyes flicked to Liam, then back to her. To assess the extent of the damage. She stiffened. Damage? Yes. Marcus approached Adrian's bed, hands clasped behind him as he studied the unconscious man. I warned him that getting involved with someone like you would lead to disaster. Ella felt the words like a slap. Someone like me? She echoed. Marcus didn't blink. A liability. A distraction. A problem with too much emotional weight and too little strategic value. Ella's breath shook, but she refused to look away from him. You don't know anything about me. Oh, I know quite a bit, Marcus said coolly. You work multiple jobs. You have no connections, no resources, no security. The kind of background that makes you dangerous by association. Liam tugged on Ella's sleeve. Sis, who is this guy? Marcus's gaze flicked down at the boy. And you brought your brother. Convenient. More vulnerabilities. Ella shielded Liam with her arm. He is a child. And he has nothing to do with any of this. Marcus raised a single eyebrow. That's where you're wrong. Ella stiffened. What do you mean? She whispered. Marcus turned away from Adrian long enough to face her head-on. The mastermind didn't target Adrian. His voice was low, smooth, deadly calm. He targeted you. Ella's stomach dropped. That's not true, she whispered. He said Adrian was. Yes, I'm sure he gave you a very dramatic explanation, Marcus cut in. But intelligence we intercepted earlier today suggests that this entire operation, every attack, every threat, centers around you. Not my brother. Ella felt dizzy. But why? I'm nobody. Marcus leaned in, eyes narrowing. You saw something, he said. Months ago. Something even Adrian never managed to uncover. And now the mastermind believes you can expose him. Ella's mind raced back. The storage room. The voices whispering about a shipment. I didn't know what I saw, she stammered. Doesn't matter, Marcus replied. He thinks you did. Ella's heart pounded painfully in her chest. So he's not going to stop, she whispered. Not until you're silent, Marcus finished. Yes. Liam trembled beside her. Ella pulled him close, her protectiveness flaring like fire. Marcus observed her a moment longer, then exhaled sharply. There's more, he said. Adrian's condition makes him unable to continue protecting you. Ella's jaw clenched. He'll wake up. Perhaps, Marcus said, though his tone made it sound like a polite lie. But until then, decisions must be made. Her pulse quickened. What decisions? Marcus took a step closer. His presence felt like a shadow swallowing the room. You and the boy will come with me. Ella's breath caught. No. His mouth twitched. Irritation? Amusement? This is not a request. I'm not leaving Adrian, Ella said, her voice steel. And I'm not going anywhere with you. Marcus's eyes chilled further. If you stay here, you will be killed. The mastermind has people inside this hospital. My team intercepted a communication minutes ago. They know where you are. Ella's breath faltered. Her hands instinctively tightened around Liam. Marcus continued, voice cold and logical. You can stay and die. Or you can come with me, where I have the resources, manpower, and strategy to keep you alive until Adrian wakes, if he wakes. Ella's heart twisted painfully. But before she could speak, Adrian's monitor beeped. She spun toward him. His fingers moved. Just barely, but they moved. Ella gasped, leaning over him. Adrian? Adrian, can you hear me? His eyelids fluttered. Marcus cursed under his breath. This is a complication. Ella ignored him completely, gripping Adrian's hand. Adrian, she whispered, tears welling again. I'm here. I'm right here. His lips parted. A rugged, broken whisper escaped. Just one word. Run. Ella's blood froze solid. She whipped toward Marcus. But before she could even speak, a loud crash shook the hallway outside. Shouting erupted. Footsteps thundered. Security alarms blared. Marcus stepped in front of the door, bracing it with his shoulder. They found you, he hissed. Ella grabbed Liam's hand. The door shuddered violently, and a voice, cold, familiar, merciless, called from the hall. Ella, Maren, it's time to finish this. The mastermind was here, in the hospital, and there was no telling who would survive the next minutes. The door shuddered again, harder this time. The metal hinges groaned. Liam tightened his grip on Ella's sleeve, his small body trembling behind her. Marcus braced his shoulder against the door, jaw clenched. We have less than a minute before they breach. We need to move. Now. Ella's pulse roared in her ears. I'm not leaving Adrian. Marcus snapped back. If you stay, you die. And so does the boy. Another slam rattled the room. Shouts echoed through the hallway, men barking orders, boots pounding closer. Ella spun toward Adrian, whose eyelids fluttered again as if he were fighting through storm clouds to reach her. Adrian, she whispered desperately, hovering over him. You told me to run. But I can't leave you. His fingers twitched weakly in her palm. Go. Tears blurred her vision. I can't. Marcus yanked open the window blinds with one quick jerk. The hospital room looked out over the back parking lot, 3 stories down. No fire escape, he muttered. Too risky to jump with a child. Another slam hit the door. Cracks crept along the hinge. Ella's heart thundered. Marcus, there has to be another way. There is, Marcus said, pulling out a small device from his jacket. Sleek, metallic, unfamiliar. This scrambles their radios for 90 seconds. It's not long, but it's enough to reach the emergency stairwell. He turned to her sharply. But once we go, we don't come back. Ella looked from Marcus to Liam, then to Adrian, unconscious and pale, machines doing the breathing he couldn't. The door shook, then bulged inward. They were seconds away. Ella's hands shook violently as she leaned down and pressed her forehead to Adrian's. I love you, she whispered. Hold on, please. I'll come back for you. I promise. A tear slid down her cheek and onto his. His lips parted the faintest bit, enough for a whisper so soft she almost believed she imagined it. Come back to me. Ella's breath caught. The door cracked. A hand punched through, reaching for the lock. Marcus activated the device. A sharp electric hum filled the room. They're blind for now. Move. Ella grabbed Liam's hand and ran. Marcus shoved the door open on the opposite side, revealing a narrow maintenance corridor. The lights flickered uncertainly as alarms wailed in the distance. Stay close, Marcus barked. Ella didn't hesitate. She and Liam sprinted after him, footsteps echoing against the cold concrete floor. Behind them, The hospital room door finally gave way, shouts erupting as the intruders flooded in. "We've got 90 seconds before they regroup," Marcus said, checking corners with military precision. Down the hall, left turn, then stairwell. Ella ran harder, lungs burning, heart splitting between terror and the man she'd left behind. Halfway down the corridor, Liam stumbled. Ella scooped him up, breathless. "I'm okay," Liam panted. "Just keep going." His bravery nearly broke her. As they rounded the corner toward the stairwell, a shadow stepped out. A tall figure in black. Gun raised. Face hidden. Ella froze. Marcus reacted first, shoving Ella and Liam against the wall as he tackled the attacker. The gun clattered across the floor, skidding toward Ella. "Ella!" Marcus shouted, wrestling on the ground. "Get the gun!" Her breath caught. She stared at the weapon, sleek, black, terrifying. Could she pick it up? Could she even point it? The attacker punched Marcus hard, slamming his head into the floor. "Ella!" Liam whimpered behind her. Ella ran. She slid across the cold floor, grabbed the gun with both shaking hands, and spun back toward the fight. The attacker pulled a knife from his belt, raising it over Marcus. "Stop!" Ella screamed, voice cracking. The man froze, turning toward her. Her hands trembled violently. I don't want to hurt you," she said, tears streaming. "But I will if you touch him." The man tilted his head, considering her just long enough. Marcus surged upward, knocking the knife away. A single punch sent the attacker crashing unconscious to the floor. Ella collapsed to her knees, the gun falling from her shaking grip. Marcus picked it up and tucked it safely into his jacket. "Not bad," he said gruffly. "Remind me never to underestimate you." Ella didn't feel strong. She felt shattered. And still running. Marcus pulled her up. "We're almost there." They sprinted the last stretch, bursting into the stairwell. Ella held Liam close as they raced down 3 flights, breathless and terrified. At the exit door to the parking lot, Marcus paused, listening. Then he opened it slowly. The night air hit them like a cold wave. Black SUVs idled in a protective circle. Armed men, Marcus's own team, stood ready. "This way," one of them called. Ella and Liam rushed forward. As Marcus climbed into the SUV behind them, he spoke low, almost too softly for her to hear. "This war won't wait for Adrian to wake up," he said. "And if he doesn't—" Ella's heart seized. "No," she whispered. "Don't say it." Marcus didn't finish. He didn't need to. The SUV sped off, disappearing into the night, leaving the hospital behind, and Adrian Hale fighting for his life alone. Ella stared out the window, tears silent, heart pounding with dread. She had escaped one attack. But the mastermind wasn't finished. And neither was fate. Because deep in the hospital room they'd left behind, Adrian's fingers twitched again. His heartbeat quickened. His lips moved, straining to form one word. "Ella." And then, the monitors began to spike. An hour after Ella, Liam, and Marcus disappeared into the night, the hospital room that held Adrian Hale, silent, sterile, dim, shifted. First, a flicker on the heart monitor. Barely noticeable. Just a blip too strong to ignore. Then another. And another. Adrian's fingers twitched against the sheets. His lips moved as if wrestling with words caught between dreams and pain. "Ella." His breath hitched. A raw, broken sound. A plea. Then alarms began to chirp, slow, then rapid, then insistent. The nurse at the station ran inside. "Mr. Hale? Can you hear me?" But Adrian wasn't conscious. Not yet. He was trapped somewhere deep, fighting through darkness so he could reach her. The SUV screeched into the underground garage of a secure building, gated, guarded, hidden in the shadows of the city's industrial outskirts. Marcus stepped out first, scanning the perimeter. "Clear," he muttered. "Bring them in." Ella climbed out with Liam, who was drowsy from fear and exhaustion. He clung to her, head pressed against her shoulder. The elevator doors slid shut behind them with a heavy clang. "Is this your place?" Liam asked sleepily. "Not mine," Marcus replied. "It belongs to the Hale family. But Adrian never used it." Why not? Ella asked. Marcus hesitated. He preferred his independence. Ella could tell that wasn't the whole truth. But she didn't push. Not yet. The elevator opened to a sprawling safe house. Warm lighting, stocked kitchen, multiple bedrooms, security screens covering a wall. Not a home. A fortress. Marcus motioned to the guest room. Settle the boy in there. Then come back. We need to talk. Ella nodded, guiding Liam inside. She tucked him into the soft bed and sat beside him, brushing his hair back gently. Are we safe here? He whispered. For now, she said, kissing his forehead. And I won't let anything happen to you. Liam blinked slowly. Is Adrian gonna die? Ella's throat tightened. I'm praying he won't. He's strong. The strongest man I know. Liam nodded, trusting her completely. He curled into the blankets, clutching his stuffed dinosaur. Ella stayed until his breathing steadied, then slipped out of the room quietly. Marcus was waiting in the main area, leaning over a table covered with files, security feeds, and maps. His jaw was tight, his eyes shadowed with things he didn't want to say. What was so urgent? Ella asked. Marcus exhaled. We intercepted a new transmission from the mastermind. Ella's stomach twisted. What did he say? Marcus lifted his eyes to hers. Cold. Controlled. He said you and the boy got away tonight. But that he won't chase you. Ella frowned. Why not? A beat of silence. And then, because he's going after Adrian. The room tilted. Ella gripped the back of a chair. No. He's in a hospital, with guards. With doctors. He can't just. Yes, Marcus said grimly. He can. And he will. Ella shook her head, tears stinging her eyes. But why? He already put Adrian in a coma. What more could he do? Marcus stepped closer, voice lowering. Ella, the mastermind believes Adrian is the only person who can expose his entire operation. You are the witness. But Adrian is the threat. But he's helpless, Ella whispered. He can't even open his eyes. That's exactly why he's vulnerable. Ella's breathing grew ragged. Marcus continued, eyes locked onto hers. His men didn't come tonight to take you. They came to create a distraction. So the mastermind's strike team could reach the hospital. Ella's heart dropped into her stomach. No, she whispered. No, Marcus, we have to go back. We have to warn them. Marcus shook his head. We can't. He'll expect that. He wants you to run to him. Ella stepped closer. Marcus, please, Adrian saved me. He saved Liam. I can't just sit here while he. Her voice broke. Marcus looked at her, something shifting behind his hard expression. Something almost human. You care for him, he said quietly. Ella lifted her eyes, fierce through her tears. I love him. Marcus's breath hitched, just slightly, as if those words irritated him. Or wounded him. I see, he murmured. The silence stretched. Then he tapped a button on the table, bringing up a hospital security feed. Ella gasped. On the screen, masked men entered Adrian's floor. Quiet, efficient, deadly. Her knees almost buckled. No. Marcus clenched his jaw. Ella, you need to prepare for the possibility that Adrian Hale will not make it through the night. She stared at him, unblinking, unbreathing. Then her voice came out in a whisper that shook like a leaf in a storm. You're wrong. She stepped forward, eyes blazing. If you think for 1 second I will sit here while he dies alone, then you don't know me at all. Marcus opened his mouth to reply, but the security screen changed suddenly. Adrian's heart monitor, the one in his room, began to blare. The doctors rushed in. Chaos erupted. And then, Adrian's entire body jolted upward, as if dragged from the depths of something deep and terrible. His eyes snapped open. Alive. And filled with fear. Ella, he choked out. Then the screen flickered and cut to black. Ella screamed. Marcus stared, stunned. Something had just happened in that room, something big enough to blow out the hospital feed itself. And both of them knew. This was only the beginning. The safe house was a whirlwind of panic. Ella's heart hammered so violently she could barely hear the security alarms blaring faintly on the monitors. Adrian's image on the screen had jolted upward, eyes wide with fear, but now the feed was gone, black as night. "Something's wrong," Marcus muttered, his normally calm voice tight. Stop!" Ella snapped, spinning toward him, fire blazing in her eyes. "No. I don't care what you think is right. I'm going back. He's awake, and I'm not letting him face this alone." Marcus froze. His eyes narrowed, a mix of warning and exasperation. "Ella, you can't just—" "I can and I will," she said firmly, gripping Liam's hand. "He needs me, and I'll be damned if I let him fight this alone. You taught me to survive. Now I'm going to use that." Liam tugged her sleeve. "Sis, I want to go with you." Ella crouched to his level. "You're going to stay here, buddy. It's too dangerous. You trust me, right?" He nodded slowly. "I trust you." She kissed the top of his head. "But I'll bring him back." Marcus shook his head, but didn't stop her. Perhaps he saw the storm in her eyes and knew it would be useless. Ella moved like a shadow through the underground parking, using Marcus's insider information to avoid cameras and guards. Her heart raced with every step, Liam's reassurance echoing in her mind. The hospital loomed ahead, sterile, blinking, calm from the outside but deadly inside. She slipped inside a service entrance, avoiding the security teams Marcus had warned about. The monitors in the nurses' station flickered, and the glow of the screens reflected her pale, determined face. Then she heard it, Adrian's voice, strained but unmistakable. Her blood surged. She ran. The room she burst into was chaos. Masked men were already inside, rifling through Adrian's medical records. The doctor and nurses were pinned to the wall, terrified. Adrian sat up on the bed, breathing ragged, eyes blazing, not just with fear, but with recognition and relief. "Ella," he gasped, trying to push the attackers back with his hands. She didn't hesitate. Drawing every ounce of courage, she charged at the nearest man, slamming him into the wall. A scuffle erupted. Adrian, despite weakness, reached for a metal tray, swinging it at another attacker. The hospital became a battlefield. "Adrian, stay close," Ella yelled, ducking a swinging baton. "We get out together." One of the masked men lunged at her with a knife. She grabbed a heavy medical stand, swinging it with all her strength. He fell, groaning. Adrian saw her courage. A faint, painful smile crossed his face. "You didn't wait," he whispered, voice hoarse. "I couldn't," she shouted. "You didn't leave me. I'm not leaving you." The mastermind's voice suddenly echoed through the hall, cold and amused. "You really think you can stop me, Ella Maren?" Ella's blood froze. He was here. In the building. Watching. Waiting. Adrian grabbed her arm. "We need to move now." They bolted toward the stairwell, weaving between guards, alarms blaring. And as they reached the emergency exit, the mastermind appeared in the doorway, tall, imposing, and terrifyingly calm. "Running won't save you this time," he said. Ella froze, but Adrian stepped forward, supporting himself on the wall, eyes locked on the figure. "I don't care," Adrian growled. "Not you. Not anyone. If you want to take me, you'll have to go through her first." The mastermind's smile widened, and his voice dripped with dark promise. "Oh Hale, I was hoping you'd say that." And with that, the shadows behind him began to move. Reinforcements, masked and armed, emerging from the dark corners of the hospital. Ella's heart pounded, but beneath fear, a fierce, unshakable truth burned in her chest. No matter the danger, no matter the odds, they would fight. Together. Because love didn't wait. It didn't falter. And it didn't run. The mastermind raised his hand, signaling the attack. And in the same moment, Adrian whispered, barely audible, "You hold my hand. We survive, together." Ella grabbed his hand, squeezing fiercely, her heart screaming with hope and fury. And then, the battle began. The hospital lights flickered like frightened fireflies as shadows swarmed forward, masked, armed, merciless. The mastermind lifted his hand, and at his signal, Chaos erupted. "Ella, stay behind me," Adrian rasped, still weak but burning with fierce determination. "No," Ella said, stepping beside him, gripping his hand tight. Together. Their fingers intertwined. And the fight began. The first attacker lunged. Adrian used his body weight to shove Ella aside, taking the hit to his shoulder. He groaned but stayed standing. Ella didn't hesitate. She grabbed a fallen four-pole and swung with all her strength. It cracked against the attacker's jaw, sending him staggering. "Not bad," Adrian coughed, breath ragged. "Learned from the best," she shot back. Another masked man rushed them. Adrian blocked the blow, but Ella swept her leg, knocking him off balance. They moved like they trained for this all their lives, even though fear surged like wildfire in their veins. The mastermind watched calmly from the doorway, as if observing a performance he'd written. "You're only delaying the inevitable," he said, voice smooth as oil. Ella looked him dead in the eye. "You've already lost." His smile sharpened. "Really? Look around you, Miss Maren." 5 more attackers stepped from the shadows. Ella's breath hitched. Adrian forced himself upright, blood staining his hospital gown. "You're done underestimating her." He squeezed Ella's hand. "We fight." And they did. Ella dodged a punch, elbowing a man in the ribs. Adrian shielded her from a blow meant to knock her unconscious, taking it to his back but staying on his feet. Ella launched herself forward, jamming a medical cart into another attacker. They were bruised, bleeding, exhausted, but they were together. And together, they were unstoppable. Finally, furious that his men were failing, the mastermind stepped forward. Enough watching. Enough waiting. He pulled a gun from his coat. Ella froze. Adrian stepped in front of her instinctively. But the mastermind shook his head. "Oh no," he said softly. "This one isn't for him." His hand shifted, pointed at Ella. Adrian's heart stopped. "No!" He lunged forward just as the mastermind pulled the trigger. But a shot rang out from somewhere else entirely. The mastermind staggered, eyes wide. Marcus Hale stepped from the shadows of the hallway, gun smoking in his hand. "I warned you," Marcus said coldly. "No one touches my brother." Ella caught her breath as the mastermind dropped to his knees, fury burning in his dimming eyes. "You think you've won," he hissed. "But you have no idea." Marcus shot again. Silence fell. The mastermind collapsed. It was over. Ella crumpled to the ground as adrenaline drained from her body. Adrian collapsed beside her, grabbing her face in both hands. "Are you hurt?" he whispered desperately. "Ella, tell me you're okay." She nodded, tears spilling freely. "I'm okay." "Adrian, you're awake. You came back to me." "I heard your voice," he said, pressing his forehead to hers. "I couldn't stay away." Marcus cleared his throat. "I imagine you'll both want a moment." Ella blinked away tears and met Marcus's eyes. "You saved him." Marcus nodded once. "He's my brother." It was all he said, but it was enough. Adrian reached out and squeezed Marcus's shoulder. The brothers shared a look, a silent truce. The sun streamed warmly through the windows of Adrian's penthouse. The danger was gone. The mastermind's organization dismantled. The city safe again. And life, finally, felt like theirs. Ella stirred a pot on the stove while Liam raced toy cars across the kitchen island. Adrian entered, still in recovery but stronger every day. He wrapped his arms around Ella from behind, pressing a soft kiss to her neck. "Morning, beautiful." She leaned into him. "You're supposed to be resting." "I'm resting right here." She smiled, heartful. Liam looked up. "Adrian, look, this one goes really fast." Adrian laughed, ruffling his hair. "Not as fast as the one I'm buying you for your birthday." Ella gasped. "Adrian." "What?" Adrian said innocently. "A kid needs a good car." Ella shook her head, smiling. She'd worked 3 jobs. Survived storms bigger than she ever imagined. But she'd found something she never thought possible. A home. A future. A family. That evening, as the sun dipped beneath the skyline, Adrian took Ella onto the balcony. City lights shimmered like fallen stars. I almost lost you, he whispered. Both of you. You didn't, Ella said simply. We're here. Together. Adrian took her hands, then slowly, gently, he dropped to one knee. Ella gasped, hand flying to her mouth. Adrian's voice trembled. I don't want a life without you. I don't want a future without Liam. You are everything good that's ever happened to me. Ella Maren, will you marry me? Tears streamed down her cheeks. Her heart soared. Her voice broke. Yes. 1,000 times yes. Adrian stood and pulled her into his arms as Liam burst through the balcony doors shouting, Are we having a wedding? Can I be in it? They laughed, Ella, Adrian, Liam, wrapped together in the kind of love that had been worth every battle, every fear, every sacrifice, every moment. Love that didn't ask to be found, love that demanded to be chosen. And they chose it. They chose each other. Forever.